right, here we go. We're good. We're good. We're good, babe. Now we live. All right, all right. Shalom, shalom. How everybody doing? Hope y'all in a good place. We just getting everything set up. As you can see, I got a special guest in the building today. I have my wife in the building. Do you want to say something to the people?
Shalom, everyone.
Nice and quick. Shalom. That's what y'all get until we really start to unpack some things. So check this out, family. What we're going to be doing, we will be discussing dating within the culture. That was a question that I put out there. Let me turn that music down. Just stop that altogether. Let me make sure my phones are good. Your phone's on silent.
Mhm.
What we wanted to do was just to discuss dating within the culture. It's a question that we get pretty, or it's a conversation that we have periodically, being that we have sons, we have family members within the culture, and everybody, wants somebody.
Mhm.
Everybody wants somebody. So um, I figured that it was a good time for us to begin to have this conversation. Is there anything you want to say before we get started?
Nope, not really. Just want to see where this goes.
I tend to like to have it rather fluid. Um, we have some questions. Shout out to everybody that sent in a question. I think that my son is going to ask a question a little bit later, but we wanted to just bring people in, man, and just begin talking about just the context of dating versus courting, and which we should be doing, which is appropriate. So we look at, so I titled it "Dating Within the Israelite Culture" because that is different than the way that many of us grew up. A lot of people that are within the culture came to, the knowledge of who they are and their identity, and that has caused them to change the way that they view life and their overall reality. That they had a complete paradigm shift,
Mhm.
and that is not just in terms of scripture, or what you may call, like, keeping the commandments and walking upright before the Most High, the
Mhm.
law, statutes, and the commandments, but it's also the way that we go about marriage. It's the way that we go about introducing our children to
Mhm.
other children, with the desire of approaching it from a cultural, tribal mindset, which is absolutely different than what we've been instructed to do previously. So we're going to broach a couple of these topics, take some questions. Typically I don't be before you long, because I respect your time, but I think that this is something that people will benefit from.
Yeah. So where are the questions?
Hold on one second. Let me see where we are.
Go back.
Hold on one second. Just go ahead and all right.
It was on the story, wasn't it?
All right, so this is where we are, family. We're gonna talk about this whole dating thing. Let's deal with that. From a cultural perspective, was dating something that was given to us by our enemies within the this Western paradigm, or was dating something that our ancestors did? That's one question in and of
Mhm.
itself. You want to chime in on that one?
Was it something that? our ancestors did, or was it given to us? If that's a
Mhm.
question.
Mhm.
It was given to us.
Mhm.
um, we didn't know what our culture was. It stripped it from us, so we just kind of identified with where we were and who
Mhm.
we were around and the things that they were doing, right or wrong. So, we started to uh, fall away from the correct order of doing things by, having appropriate process to engaging in those types of situations. So we engaged our own um, desires and will instead of, having the proper vetting of individuals. Is that where you're?
Yeah. Um.
And
Are
it
there okay?
normalized deviance is what kind of occurred.
No, that's a good uh
Oh.
explanation. Normalize deviance. So we began to look at things from a normative standpoint, and we adjusted to it. We adjusted to the behavior
Hmm.
that was common for the society that we grew up in. So I think that if we looked at dating, we have to ask ourselves, has that been a valuable solution for us in terms of helping us to transition into marriage? Now, uh, f- uh, full transparency, of course, we dated.
Hmm.
We dated. I've dated in the past, you've dated in the past, but then you have to ask yourself, well, is that something that I want to uh, continue with the next generation of my children, or even with my sons and with my daughters? Because we have a prerequisite. We have examples within the text of how we should behave,
Hmm.
how we should move.
Hmm.
Where typically we're supposed to give our daughters away, we're supposed to give our sons away, which is a whole nother conversation that people may not be ready for, and I'll deal with that at another time. But considering where we are now, do you think that dating has been something that has benefited our people?
Mm-mm.
And you don't? Why not?
Not in the way that it's done now.
Well,
It does.
so go ahead, I don't want to interrupt you, go ahead.
No, not in the way that it's done now. If you think about, what you just said in the context of the arrangement of appropriate individuals or more compatible through the eyes of someone experienced,
Hmm.
um, then no, it doesn't work. And it's, we talked about this before, the checklist, um, where people have these must-haves in their mind that they have to have, especially women. I don't know, I can't speak for men, but
Hmm.
the list of things that, what are your non-negotiables, and they're typically shallow things that amount to nothing.
So a lot of times, people are given these lists of things that they want to
Hmm.
have in a spouse, in that determines if they're going to date someone. And typically, that's pulchritude, that's physicality, that's what they see in a person on a surface level, which really isn't who that person is. It's a part of who they are. Now,
Hmm.
I don't. I'm not so crazy to act as if physicality doesn't have anything to do with it. It
Hmm.
it, it typically does.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, well, can I wake up with this person?
Hmm.
But having the mindset. So if we go back to the culture, oftentimes if we look at the way that Isaac received his bride, um, that he did not know her, he did not know Rebecca.
Hmm.
That he was sent, Abraham sent his servant, I think Eleazar sent Eleazar to the house of his fathers or his brother, and went and bought a bride back to him.
Hmm.
So typically within the culture, the father would choose a spouse for his son,
Hmm.
or give his daughter away,
Mhm.
which is absolutely different than this paradigm, this unfortunately, this Disney paradigm
Mhm.
that a lot of people have about being swept off of our feet. And
Mhm.
typically the and y'all let me know if I'm right or wrong.
Mhm.
Typically, you'll see someone,
Mhm.
male or female, either side. You may be interested in that person, something that the way that they presented themselves, something that they said, uh, the way that they broke down scripture, the way she sang in the alto section.
Mhm.
you know, what, or you saw somebody at work, and then your mind starts to wonder, well, you know what? Well, maybe is there potential in this person? And then you start to go down this rabbit hole to determine if there's potential there. But in essence, you're engaging your judgment to choose and to attach, potentially attaching yourself to this person
Mhm.
without having someone that is above you. And what do I mean by someone that's above you? Typically, that would be a parent
Mhm.
that would, help to assess this person to see, because have you in the past ever uh wanted to considered dating someone or knew someone that were going to date someone and the mama was like, not him, leave him alone.
Mhm.
Because sometimes like that parent can see something.
Or the parent knew their parent,
Okay, okay.
and if it's in the father, it's in the son.
Ooh, that's
So
patriarchy right there.
you know if the family just has a stain of some sort, generational kind of issues, then it's probably manifested in the children. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be, the wisdom of the elders in that regard to kind of keep you away from certain things. Um, so, it's that's why it's important that they're engaged in the process because they know things that you don't know.
Mm-hmm. So very good. So when that parent who may not who's able to be objective
Hmm.
has wisdom of years.
I mean, my mother knew, my mom, we're small town USA. Um, she knew a lot of families because of even just her career. Um, she was an educator over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So she had interfaced with a lot of families. This was a small city, and she knew things that, she didn't necessarily share the dirty details, but she knew things about some families. And she just, even as far as, the friends that we had, or, she tried to handpick and kind of tell us who we should and should not be involved with. She was discreet with the details. She didn't share with us because we were children, but it was basically because I said so.
Yeah.
um, so
And that's beneficial. That's helpful. That leads almost into a slight deviation or a difference between dating where you see someone at school, at
hmm
work, you're interested in them, they interested in you, you guys start to get to know each other, and oftentimes all of the affection, all of that energy from that relationship is met up front.
what do you mean?
And meaning like in a um you're
You act on
so,
it.
yeah, you act on it, and you start to pick a person based on how they make me feel.
Hmm.
I want them to love me so that if they love me, then we'll progress from the dating into
Well,
the
what
marriage.
is love though? Is
Love is not something that can maintain a marriage, that's for sure.
love is not something that's just equated to butterflies either.
Yeah.
It's so I think that part of the issue is the lack of understanding of what it really is.
Yes.
So we equate those little, infatuated feelings with love, and we chase those feelings. It's like some kind of a high.
Mm,
And when you get it,
it's
it's like,
addictive.
right, you just want more and more and more of
Yeah.
it. So you just go down this rabbit hole chasing something that's, you know,
And in dating, typically you will give all of yourself, meaning all of your mental energy. Men are spending a lot of money trying to impress this woman,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get her to choose him, and also the woman gives of her body. Oftentimes, I'll just say 9 times out of 10, if we just really
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep it 100 in the streets. Not talking about in a righteous culture, but does that happen in the culture? Absolutely, it does. We're
Yeah.
not going to be denialists. Me having been, I've been quote unquote a moray, had a congregation of people that I was teaching here in Atlanta, Georgia. So I've had those counseling sessions with people that have been awakened, that know who they are, but that has nothing to do with how they value their bodies and whether or not, and they can tell you what fornication is. They can
Mm-hmm.
tell, they can give you the definition. They can run to Leviticus and tell you about the sex crimes, but that still does not mean that they have the discipline and have been converted to where they no longer participate in those things. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So usually in those settings, it veers in that direction versus what I would put forth would be courting. Now
Mm-hmm.
we had a question from Tiana.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Let me acknowledge you guys real quick. Shout out to Tiana. Shout out to Cassie. Appreciate you for joining us. Much respect
Pamela.
to D Town. Shout out to Tamala. What's going on, sis? Thank you for joining us. Uh, Pathwall, appreciate you. JT the preacher. What's going on with y'all Bereans down there, brother? Much love to y'all down there. So
What's the question?
the question is dating and courting the same thing?
Mm,
You want to deal with that?
no.
Okay, we got no for 1,000.
Mm-mm.
Give me some subtle differences in the two, if you would.
Um, isn't courting? Please, I know you're gonna correct me if I'm wrong. Courting is kind of referenced in the Bible, correct?
Yeah.
It's more of a. I think dating is just you just running around town, spending money on, having a good time, putting in your bid. Courtship is more of a supervised
Mm,
kind of
yes.
guided process on the road to marriage.
Right.
Dating doesn't necessarily equal marriage.
No.
Dating is not, you know,
It's I'm gonna get familiar with you.
I'm a
I'm gonna
right.
experience you.
I'm a had the was it have the cow without buying have the milk without buying the cow
Yes.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So I'm gonna play. We're gonna have the marriage experience
We're
without
gonna play
ever
married. Yeah.
getting to that point, and then when that when someone digs their claws in because I've done all these things, practically are married, but we're
Hmm.
not. That's when the issues really, really start.
Because you get a chance to experience that person without commitment,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that that's error. And it's not to say that, well, yeah, Hodge, you did it before. Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
we all
I
did
did it
some.
before. We did it before. But now we're advocating for something, for a higher level of living, a higher standard that we must adhere to if we want to please the God, the Elohim that we say
Mm-hmm.
that we serve. What are the standards that he requires for us? And then be an absolute advocate for it, then create the environment where those that come from you and are connected to you are able to perform those things versus it just being theoretical or an idea
Mm-hmm.
that can't really manifest because you don't have other men, you're not connected to other people where, okay, well, I can direct my children in this way, and that leads to the differentiation with courting.
So let me ask this question to you. I didn't even really think about it because
Speak a little bit louder, huh?
can you hear me? um, so would it be fair to say, or even correct to say that courting should have some type of a covenant kind of maybe between the families
That's more
and
betrothal.
okay,
That's more betrothal.
okay. So betrothal, well, would that be necessary before courtship?
The, see, it all that's a great
Right.
question.
So it's kind of like what came first,
So yeah,
chicken or egg? I mean,
right. I would say that can go a couple different ways
Mhm.
from the way that I've been taught by the
Mhm.
Honorable Dr. Elder Murray, who has done it, multiple times. Like you have to be connected to people that have fruit. Now,
Mhm.
people say that, well, people aren't ready for that
I'm ready for
because
what?
they aren't ready to be betrothed. They're not ready for courtship. I've heard people within the culture say
Mhm.
that people can't do that. And I'm just like, that's simply not true because I know people that are doing it
Mhm.
and that have 10, 20 years of experience in that. So,
No, I was just asking because I thought about it because honestly, you won't have access to, no one has access to your daughter without some type of a, you know what I
mm-mm,
mean? Like,
mm-mm.
so
Without
there will
some,
be no courtship
right.
without some type of an agreement
So,
on the front.
right.
Right.
So my situation with my daughter
Mm.
is different in that she's been in my house the entire time. Now, how it will work maybe a little differently, and we're gonna let somebody else jump on here if y'all got some questions. Um, how it will work differently. Let's just say that there was a young lady
Mhm.
that has come into the culture. She was single
Mhm.
and she may have a covering, a elder, her father. Let's just start with her father,
Mhm.
a elder more, someone that was covering her, and the covering does not mean that he has access to her body. That's not what that means.
Mm-mm, it's a
It means that she
protection.
she
Mhm.
submits to his authority to help guide her on this path. Right now, there may be someone that's in the assembly, someone that she has let's just say, I don't even want to say interested in, or would like to maybe enter into a conversation with, that would be guided by elders or their father elders, so that they may want to have conversations to get to know one another,
Mhm.
not in an intimate way, just in a general way. Well, what are your thoughts about A, B, C, D?
Mhm.
Marriage, family structure,
It's almost like a preliminary
a preliminary
discussion
thing
to decide what happened
to
if
decide
something. Mhm.
if, like, well, there's been no emotional connection at all. We've
It's a
just had
business
it's
discussion.
because marriage is business.
It's a business
Let's be clear.
discussion. I mean, if we're not compatible entities, we don't need to be.
But now that goes back to the little checklist. Like, are you coming, to the conversation with your little checklist? I need for him to be tall, dark, and handsome. I need for him to be 6 feet. Now, we were talking about this, which was a laughable moment. I said, I am neither tall. I'm not I'm 5'11". I'm not tall. I'm not dark. Like I would go and I would lay out on the
But he
beach.
had to say, but I do have the handsome part.
You said it for me.
Yeah, he said that. He said that.
That just
He said
happened.
1 out of 3. Right.
I'm not tall, I'm not dark, but I have been told
Right.
that
Mhm.
I got a little bit of the handsome. And I understand that favor is deceitful, beauty is vain. I get all
That's
that,
it.
family.
That's joking.
Yeah, it's just a joke. So sometimes, like, you have to be careful about this laundry list of prerequisites that you will like in that person.
I mean,
So they could initiate a courtship that leads to a betrothal and a
mhm,
commitment for marriage, then the wedding,
mhm.
versus I wanted to just contrast that with my
Right,
daughter who will go from my house to another man's house,
right,
and like she'll really I'll get take she'll have her hand in mine and then given to
right.
another man.
Transference of wealth.
Transfer, oh man, wealth. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. So
Transference of wealth.
that would be the subtle difference in what we would advocate for in the culture is less dating,
Mhm.
less sliding into inboxes, and you need to have someone that can vet that person.
Yes.
vet how they feel about marriage, vet how they feel about relationships, vet, someone that can vet the level of damage, because let's be clear, we all have damage coming from this oppressive environment. And if you act like you don't have damage, that's proof that you got a whole bunch of damage. So we always draw our understanding from the scriptures. I do acknowledge, what it says in Romans 15:14, that the things that were written aforetime were written for our learning. We do have examples in the scripture. Some people may say, well, you know what, brother, you ain't read not one scripture in the whole process of trying to explain it, but the scriptures were documented in a way. Well, originally it was just oral tradition that was
Mm-hmm.
passed down. It's a code of living. It's a way in which you instruct your people. And we look at the text like my elder said, like a message in a bottle. You got disconnected from the Most High, separated from your culture, went into captivity, and now you're using the text to help you rediscover,
Mm-hmm.
which means you're going to have to throw out some things that you once believed.
Mm-hmm.
You got some you want to read?
No, it was just, and to that point, that's why the scriptures is there to give you that reference, and to it's not always, that's why it's called the two double-edged sword. It's not one-sided. So if you're looking for the blessing in it, you're reading it to find all the good stuff, but you got to read to see what those people did to get blessed.
Hmm.
So that means that you have to hold yourself accountable
Oh, and that's
to
that's
those
part of that
things.
accountability factor
Right. So that's
is
why
key.
I listen to it going to work with these challenging people. Um, because I want all the devils to fall hard, but I want
Right.
to, I need to understand the conditions to make that happen. The
Right.
things that I need to do on my end, I need to make sure that my yard is clean.
Right.
So that's why,
That's the individual accountability aspect. You
yeah.
have to place yourself in a position where you merit
Mm-hmm.
the blessings, where they will chase you down. So, we had hold on, did we have any other questions?
We had one about.
Shout out to Elia. What's going on, Iki? Hey man, you got a question or something? If you want to come on camera, let me know. Let me know. I'll bring you on. Anyone else that wanted to come on camera, come on on. We'll
What
we'll
does
have a
that say?
we'll have a quick conversation.
I can't see
That says Shayla. Shalom, Shayla. That may be
it.
Kendall
Mm-mm.
watching.
Is that
Huh?
a question?
Is
I can't see that
also
far.
also, is there a maturity difference between males and females? You know what? From what I've observed, well, let me slow it down. The question is there a maturity difference
Mm-hmm.
between males and females?
It depends.
Sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
want to say yes,
It depends.
but I don't want to just generalize
Mm-mm.
and say yes. Typically, that is the case. But go ahead, and I'll let you explain a few things,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll chime in.
I think, just neurologically speaking, I think that there have been studies that show that parts of females' brains are
Developed.
developed
Hmm.
and connected in ways that a male at the same age may not be. Now, I don't think, like you said, you can put a blanket statement on anybody's level of maturity, but I think, environment, circumstance, all those things kind of, what have you been experienced with? I mean, you may be immature in one way and somebody may be more mature
Sure,
in another
another way.
way.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we all understand to be, females just, oh, we just get it faster. We're just more mature. And to some
Sounds good.
degree, I think about the things about family, that kind of stuff. I think young ladies probably do because we start off really
Maybe
young.
that desire. That
Yeah,
desire.
we start off really young. We're playing with little dolls and, we want to be mommy and all that kind of stuff. So we
Mm,
kind of embrace it sooner. Now, just because we embrace it doesn't mean that we're mature enough to handle it when the time comes.
that's a whole nother
So
issue.
you may embrace it and know that that may be what you want, but that doesn't mean that you're automatically equipped to be good at it just because you have arrived at this position, or this realization that I want to be a mother, or and a young man may not even be thinking about, he
Yeah,
may want to go play basketball with his friends,
that's it.
so
Not even thinking
um
about relationships.
so that's still, just a thought may be more evolved, but it doesn't mean the execution of a thing is going to be.
hmm And Elder Murray, he said, one thing about, when a young girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old,
Mhm.
like you said, she's preparing for marriage, got the
Mhm.
little dolls, and she wants the house and doing all this thing. And a little boy, he running around with a cape on his back,
And a
talking
and a
about he
mask, talking about he Batman.
talking about he Batman, he Iron Man
Right.
boy.
Mhm.
So, that there is a difference in the development at that level. But I think that if you have a young man that has been in a house of his father
Mhm.
and has seen somewhat, the maturity, then he is able to cover that gap. Now, I'm not a proponent of, the same age. You typically want from typically the men in the scriptures married women
Younger.
that were younger. I mean,
Mhm.
10, 20, even 30 and 40
Your
years,
mother
they're
was
junior. My
10
mother was
years.
9 years younger, right at 10 years younger than my father.
Mhm.
Beautiful relationship. And that wasn't a stretch of the imagination. So
Mm-mm.
when you come into the Israelite culture, you have to begin to challenge your normative behavior of, well, he's 26, I'm 26, we should be
That
together.
should work out. We
You,
like
you
the same stuff.
we like the same stuff. And is that a good thing?
But the other thing, though, going back to your mom and your dad, even my mom and dad, my dad was about 6 years older than my mother.
hmm
Um, I think that everybody was a little more mature back. I think everybody's just kind of immature today. Um, what do you think? Do you think that?
I was reading the comments,
I
and
saw.
I'm gonna ask the question one more time. Go
I
ahead.
said I think that everybody's just a little bit more immature today. I don't think that
Immature,
they.
slightly narcissistic, and
Well,
self-absorbed.
I think they just don't the aloof, very aloof about
So,
life and the things that really propel you forward. Unless you have someone pushing you in that direction, unless your parent is really tapped in
mhm.
and in tune, you end up with this, you know, I don't know. Everybody's not mature in that way.
No, I agree.
Yeah, they're not.
And the way the society is structured, you know, people have these ephemeral, temporary engagements socially.
Hmm.
Like you have these temporary friendships, these single serving friendships, and there's always there's this level of protection, and you're guarded because you typically are looking for someone to betray you, to walk away from you, to devalue you, so that when
Hmm.
that happens, um, well, you tend to lower your expectations so that when that happens, you're not hurt in the same way.
Hmm.
You understand? So
Yes, I
too
do.
often,
Abba William. You understand.
you understand. Um, Typically, the purpose of courtship. I'll say this, and then I'm going to answer the question. Part of the purpose of courtship is to help reduce the impact and the brokenness that a daughter or a son would receive by the parent not being a part of the process. Is one thing for a young woman to go out and just say, okay, hey, I want him, I like him, or to say, have a young man and say, hey, I like her. Now, from the very beginning, even before we awaken to the culture,
Hmm.
I had told you this. I said, there is no way I am going to stand by and allow my daughter,
Mm-mm.
who I have prayed over, loved, nurtured, to just pick a little boy or allow a little boy to pick her.
Hmm.
I did not see the benefit in that. Now, some people may say, well, you got to let her go out there and make her own choice. It's like, I've seen the result of that.
For what?
And then people may say, well, why don't you, they got to learn and figure out what
What
they
they
like.
like.
I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Right.
How do they figure out what they like outside of trial and error?
Some
So are you
some
advocate?
people got little influence about what they don't like.
Mm, mm.
Hmm.
Inside joke, right? He don't like that. Right?
What?
So we're just trying to just look at things differently, family. We're looking at it from the culture of what's beneficial versus like who benefits from your son or your daughter having multiple engagements.
Mm-mm.
That reduces their ability to
It reduces their value.
oh, I ain't, yeah.
Reduces their
That's a
value.
weighty
Because
one.
even honestly, even outside of the culture,
It does.
you
Tamala, that's a
a
compliment.
lot of men like to um they may want to play with all these available women. Men are opportunists a lot of times is what
Hmm.
was said.
So yeah, sometimes men just like, okay, well,
You willing, so okay,
so
let's
that's the whole.
you
Now,
know.
now we've seen in schools, in academic circles, we're talking like elementary school, grade school,
Mhm.
middle school. Oftentimes, the young girls are a little more fast
Mhm.
and mature,
Mhm.
where they put pressure on young men
You
to do
scared.
things that you scared. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You scared. He
And they
you
like you said, they were opportunists.
Are you
Opportunists, they
gay? You
accepted
don't
it.
like girls?
Then a name calling, right? So that's why you have to really, really protect your children. All right,
Mhm.
I want to answer the question that that Cassie asked. Appreciate you for chiming in with us. Her question was, "What is the proper way to court? Does the father vet a person and recommend them to you, or can you bring someone to your father and have them vetted out?" Oh, that's a good question.
I think the first part, uh, the father vetting is the preferred way, um, because it's still engaging the daughter's will to bring someone to her father.
So,
She's she's seeking the approval after she's already made a selection,
mhm.
and that's backwards. So what are your
Now,
thoughts?
now I would say that is spot on. You said something about the daughter is engaging her judgment, meaning, um, and it doesn't mean that she can't, observe someone from a distance
Mhm.
and say, okay, well, maybe this might work. There's some potential there,
Mhm.
without becoming emotionally involved in that, and then say, okay, maybe he has shown some type of interest in her,
Mhm.
and then take it to her father and say, I'm not going to proceed. I'm not even going to pursue this. I would like for you to do it.
Can
That
she clarify the part
that would
about
be
bringing them to the parent? Because most of the time, I know outside of the culture, people they play around, they date around, do whatever, but you don't get to meet the parent until it's serious.
until it's serious. So
So
you've
that's
been
what I'm
dipping and
saying
dabbling.
exactly. So if it's at that point already, then that her will has definitely been engaged, and
Yes.
she's now wanting her father to just say, "Okay, I sign off on it," versus
Hmm.
it could have been somebody
And
he
sometimes
the
you,
father may cave in because he knows how she feels already. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So it's not.
Are you going to just get a rubber stamp endorsement? Or did you, like we always talk about, take your hand off.
Mhm.
Take your hand off. Meaning I don't feel any way about it, because you need to be able to get that endorsement from
Mhm.
above. And that comes from a level of submission.
Mhm.
See, like we sometimes we look at within the culture submission as only a woman,
Mhm.
where
What's
you've
that?
seen, I'm not sure what that was, where a man has to be willing to submit
Mhm.
as well. I submit to my father.
Mhm.
I submit to my spiritual father. You have seen this, yes?
Mhm.
If they don't see a man in submission, it makes it more difficult for a wife, daughter, sons to be in submission
Right.
because you have never modeled it for them. And
Right.
is not
So
submission
cold.
until it's something that you may not necessarily want to do. But I'm gonna stop right there. Cassie, I hope that that answers your question.
What was what you were saying? You said that's what I was saying about having already kind of had.
I
Okay.
was asking if she brought I was let me read it in the microphone. I was asking if she brought him to the father prior to any encouragement outside of the man letting known his interest.
Let his interest be
Letting his
known
outside of letting his interest be known. Okay. Is he brought him to the father?
prior to any
Correct. So she's just trying to say brought him to her father.
after the father. Maybe
No, from an objective standpoint.
okay.
Um, from an objective, so that she hasn't. Cassie, would you like to come on and clarify
Engagement. Okay.
engagement?
It's engagement. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Thank you, Cassie. So, as if she brought him to the father prior to any engagement. Okay. So basically there's no relationship established yet. It's just someone that may have expressed some interest.
Right.
Okay.
And that's going to happen, but you're doing the right thing.
Right.
And we say, I'm gonna go up. I'm
Right.
going up.
Actually, you don't bring him, you send him. You tell him you go talk to my
Yeah.
father.
Before you have
Right.
access to me, you got to go through him.
Right.
He is the way,
Right.
the truth,
Right.
and the life. If you want me, you got to go through him. And that's the whole covering aspect of and even like if you have an elder or
Mhm.
more or whoever that's covering, you have to be willing to have that sign off.
Mhm.
So I hope that that clarifies some things for you. I appreciate you. Ben Suka, shalom, shalom, Aki. Oh man, bless you. Won't you come on camera, man? I see you watching. Come on, let's talk about this whole dating and courting thing. We've been on here for a few minutes. We've been offering for people to come in and just share with us. I like to have
So
call-ins.
I was reading a bit about dating because it's been a while. Been married in 19 years this year.
Hmm.
All praise to the Father. But just dating outside of the culture, I'm sure it's pretty rough out there in those streets. Um, and I was reading that the millennials, there was a research study done by Pew Research Center that 67% of millennials no longer see any value in marriage.
Oh my.
Um, and is it because again they got all this milk without buying cows? I mean, what do you think that
Hold
that's
on.
a
I'm trying to figure out how to bring Suka on, babe.
it's
One
pretty
second.
staggering. Don't you have to do it from here? You have to do it from there. He has to ask.
Hey Suka, request to jump in there,
Because
Aki.
hold on, wait, go back up to where you see he's watching. You
Mm-hmm.
see how
Yeah, I didn't get that option.
he may not be.
He may not
Oh,
have his camera
mm-mm.
on.
It's not a camera. He might just be on a different kind of a. Is it
Different
only
device.
iPhone? Maybe.
It says that he's asking. I don't see it in the chat though. Let me look over here.
I'm totally like not savvy with that.
Boom, 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 boom.
There it is. Is that him? No,
No.
he doesn't have the link.
Go ahead. Keep talking, babe. I'm gonna see if I can get him in here. And I know my brother, the brother always they see things differently. What do you mean, Tamala? They see things
Oh, the
differently.
millennials.
Oh, the millennials,
Yeah, it
yes.
says 67% of them no longer see any value in marriage. I guess they see value in dying alone. I don't know.
Well, oftentimes they have this naivety about the way that they approach things.
Yeah.
They think that it's going to continue in that way. It's all good until you hit 65, 70, and now you need somebody to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to go to the doctor.
Right.
Hold on, I'm trying to
It's not working, babe.
it is not working. Suka, it is not working, my brother. Usually we get a link to say that. So um I kind of lost my train of thought.
I know you spent
So
a lot of time on that.
oftentimes, so then too, let me add this,
Mm-hmm.
family. If you guys, when I look at this whole dating paradigm,
Mm-hmm.
having lived it and having experienced it firsthand, uh yeah, having experienced it, I want you guys to go back and consider 2 Samuel 13, when you had Ammon and Tamar, where he wanted, unfortunately, this was a young man who wanted his sister. And it says that he wanted her so bad that he was just sick, that he was inconsolable. He desired her. And so he came up with this scheme with this stick in order to get his sister to come and comfort him. And he desired her so bad up until the moment that he got her. After he got her, the tragedy of it all, outside of the violation,
Mm-hmm.
the rape was horrible, should have never happened. But sometimes there's so much sexual energy that's built up, that after that man has conquered,
Mm-hmm.
that his interest just leaves him. That's a horrible thing. And Tamar said, "Now listen, what you did was bad enough, but to send me away in that capacity is even more grievous."
Mm-hmm.
So I see it all the time where men pursue women so hard in this whole dating phase, unsupervised. They get what they want and then they're done. See, you don't want to be a good time for a short time. That ain't what you want to be. But when you go through a supervised courtship,
Mm-hmm.
it allows certain checks and balances so that you don't find yourself in that situation. And that's all we saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we saying. That before you give somebody access to you, how about you get somebody else's opinion on the matter?
Right.
Because you're valuable. We know that the daughters of Zion are valuable, but they're going about it sometimes still according to Western mindsets, which we have to purge ourselves from. So y'all will listen to me and y'all will say, well, that brother's different. Like my concepts, my ideology, my concept of marriage is totally different. What that
We
means.
missed a question.
We did. Okay. You have to realign yourself with what the text says. And one thing that we'll get to, we'll go back to the question. This is one thing that I want that maybe we'll discuss,
Mm-hmm.
was the book of Ruth. The book of Ruth shows someone from a different culture, being a Moabite, a different nation, where she adjoined herself to Naomi. And she told Naomi that your culture is now what? My culture. She got rid of everything she had believed and thought and understood for this culture. And that is what our women, what our men have to do. You got to throw away the things that you thought that you knew in
Mm-hmm.
order to get this kingdom concept, to get what the scriptures has advocated that we do. Because if you don't, you always have this low-key judgment where you say, well, I don't think that's necessary.
Right. We don't take all
It don't take all of that.
that.
Go ahead. You had a question, and now
Is this from Cam?
no,
I bought this.
I don't know what was your question, babe.
Okay. The question was, it's not my question, it was a
or
question
just the
on here.
question?
Somebody asked, is there a certain attribute in a person that would be unacceptable in courtship?
Absolutely. It's a bunch of different attributes. First off, in the Israelite tradition, a brother needs to be keeping Torah. Ask him how is his relationship with his father. Um, if he has a bad relationship with his father, bad relationship with his mother, you probably want to go the other way because he's already violating the principles that the father put in place. That's the
Mm-hmm.
fifth commandment. He's already violating. Outside of what he's saying, he's already violating. So if he has a low opinion of his mother,
Mm-hmm.
chances are there's going to be a lot of difficulty with him adjusting to a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm. A low opinion of women in general comes from how he, the mother,
Right.
if it's not a good one, and vice versa, as a
Hey,
young
a little bit
man,
louder, volume.
looking at the female in the situation, um, the relationship she has with her mother and
Mm-hmm.
father's more so, because however she responds to her father is a good indicator of how she's going to respond to uh, the husband.
And and that shoe goes on the other foot.
Mm-hmm.
If if it's a young woman and you ask her about her father and she like, man, forget that nigga, that I don't need that nigga. Yo, you probably want to go the other way because she's so bitter that she needs time.
But
Let's just say
what about
she needs
trauma?
time.
What about a trauma bond though?
That trauma bonding is
It's
serious.
a
But because
trauma bond.
everybody in the culture has been,
Right.
not just in the culture that's here in the US,
Right.
has a level of crazy and
Right.
trauma. But it's a matter of who's crazy can you deal with.
Right.
I never could deal with I want to fight you, I want to scratch your car crazy. I could never deal with that.
Mm-mm.
I could that's a crazy I can't deal with. I hate men and
It's ghetto.
is what
It's ghetto.
is ghetto. I couldn't deal with that crazy. Other crazies,
Right.
hey,
You know.
we all got it. I know I got my issues
Right,
that
but
I'm trying to
the
iron out.
trauma bond in that case though, like you were talking about so we, because what you're saying essentially is we all got this dysfunction in our family and our background.
Everybody.
So how what part of your family structure was dysfunctional? And that's what people bond over. That's they see as a commonality. Your daddy wasn't nothing, mine ain't either. So we
Mm.
got that in common. Let's talk about them or whatever it is. I mean, I don't know how it goes, but if my mama put cigarettes out on my back and
Oh man, you going there?
I don't know. What I'm saying, that's how people they
It could be something that's
sympathize with
right.
each other over these things, or they feel um empathy
Mm-hmm.
because they feel that it's something that they can relate to, so they find these relatable points in trauma.
Mm-hmm. And they complement one another.
Yes, and neither
And
party knows how to overcome the dysfunction
right,
that is woven into their fiber.
right.
Yeah.
And it's there, but that's why when someone comes into the culture, it's always good to give yourself time to heal, time to recover, time to get into a better place. I know that a lot of people don't advocate for therapy.
Hmm. We
I think,
especially don't.
I think that a lot of times, based on what our people have been through, sometimes we do need therapy,
Oh yeah.
um, or some type of counseling from a spiritual practitioner that's not just going to give you. And I want to preface this: that's not just going to give you scripture. You're giving it to a person that's damaged that may not be able to interpret these things
Mm-hmm.
properly. How do I apply what the text says if I don't have the prerequisite interrogative skills to go about that thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're presuming, like you may say, well, you won't hear me say this, but you may hear someone say, well, you know what? Just trust Yah and just
Mm-hmm.
listen to the spirit.
Right.
That's not advice that I necessarily give. Why? Here's why. I'm gonna break it down for you guys. Just me. Let's just say if my wife came to me with an issue and I say, "Well, baby, just listen to y'all. Just trust y'all." With that comes
Mhm.
there's a lot of presumption there.
Mhm.
I'm presuming one that you know how to pray
Mhm.
and to get in contact with the Father. Two,
Voice.
there's the presumption that He is speaking to you.
Right.
Three, that you have ears to hear. It's a lot of presumption there, and like you can go down a list of every cult leader. They said that God,
Mhm.
the Creator, was speaking to them, and they
Mhm.
did some heinous things. So that's why I just don't immediately run to that. Just listen to the Most High.
Mhm.
I don't immediately run to that because you're presuming that that person has built up a relationship for him to communicate with them directly. So,
Right.
but I'm gonna
Right.
keep it light. I'm gonna keep it light. I'm not gonna go too far into it, but um, I just think we just have to be careful when it comes time to just trying to help people overcome from trauma.
Right.
So,
Right. And then too, people don't want to overcome things if they can't even accept the fact that they have something to overcome. You have to
mm,
identify it first.
uh-oh, we struggle streaming. I'm with you. Identify that they have something to overcome.
Move it.
Finish your thought. I got it.
If you put it over there
It's
though.
good.
But either way, yeah, so you have to identify. That's always the first step to healing is, acceptance. And,
Hmm.
that's why I always use my AA kind of
You were
example.
in AA?
Not my AA, but the AA
You was an
example.
alcoholic? You ain't tell me that.
You don't even
You
like
didn't tell me.
alcohol.
You didn't tell me that drama. That trauma.
Mm-mm. We didn't bond over that one because I don't even like alcohol. But the whole thing with, that's why they make them stand up, and the first thing they say is, "Hey, I'm Jim. I'm an alcoholic." And then, "Hi, Jim. Welcome," because Jim has now accepted he needs the help of this group,
Hmm.
and that's the only way. Because most of the time, everyone's in denial.
Cain a liar.
Um, right. Deal with it, or it will deal with you. So,
Ooh, that's a nice little that rhymes. Elias said, deal with it or it'll deal with you.
right.
Cassie said,
You,
you can't heal what
what
you
you
don't
don't reveal.
reveal. Yes.
Exactly.
Nice little rhyme.
Exactly.
Bars. Hold on, hold on, hold
Yeah,
on.
people have to be willing to admit it and not look at it like it's some kind of a, this mar on who they are. I think it's more of a, a, a realization that I no longer want to. What are you applauding? The bars?
We gotta applaud the bars. Round of applause. That
Oh,
was
you
that
said.
was a good one.
Okay.
It just kept going.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was extended. Oh, that was a
Bars.
standing ovation.
Um,
Yeah, healing does start within. And, a lot of times people say, forgive yourself for whatever it is that you're holding on to. Because sometimes you think about these things, these traumatic things, and it takes you back to that original feeling. You
yes.
just kind of relive it over and over and over and over again. You just like you can't think about it without being thrust back into it as if
Yeah.
it's the
That's the
initial moment.
indication you have
Right.
not healed. You have not addressed it in a meaningful way where you're no longer triggered by that thing, and that's proof of the healing.
Right.
But you do have to go about uh, being delivered, and that sometimes that's a process. It's not an overnight thing. That's why
Mm-mm.
it's important that you are a whole person. It's not sensical. It's just not a good thing to put all this pressure on a person to try to make you whole. You hear a lot
Mm-mm.
of these things like in dating and I need somebody to
To
complete
complete
me.
me.
No, 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 no. You complete you. You need to be a complete you before you try to join yourself to become one with
Right.
somebody else. That's not the way that I look at it. Um Shalom, brother. Hania, appreciate you for joining us. Everybody else that joined us.
There was another question
It
a
was
little
another
bit
question
higher.
up top.
No, no, down some. How can we?
Okay, how can we take back the thought of dating from this new generation? I would to answer that, I don't think that you can take anything from anyone. People have to relinquish what
Mhm.
they've been given for something greater.
Mhm.
See, I'm not an advocate for I'm not out trying to evangelize men to make people do things my way. All we can do is share, and maybe they'll see the benefit in these heightened perspectives that you're sharing
Mhm.
that comes directly from the scripture.
Mhm.
Some people aren't able to see that unless you're quoting chapter and verse, but
Right.
those that know Torah
Mhm.
hear Torah when it's spoken.
Right.
And that's how the Messiah dealt with it. He wasn't going about quoting scripture all the time. And I think that that's where we miss things. We miss opportunities to one be transparent and one to really really be honest about where we are instead of, they choose to hide behind these scriptural veneers and it's only like right there on the
But
surface.
they miss the motivation behind the
What
actions.
led them to
Right.
record what they recorded and to say what they said.
Yeah. What led someone to do those things? It had to be something within them,
Right. I
something that
agree.
they totally believed and held true. It can't be just because, oh, we're just going to put this down for posterity so you can recite it later
Right. It's deeper than
in a
just
script battle.
right. It's different than just reciting things.
Right.
So boy, I wish I could speak. Oh,
Oh, you why?
yeah.
Oh, you don't have a link either. What's up with this no links?
Some people have a link, some people
So
don't.
at Bro-
I don't know if they have a
Atsuka, the Moritsuka, do you have a iPhone? Is it have anything to do with that, babe? No.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. What I'll do is next time, what I can do, I can send out a guest link on Riverside, but it won't be on Facebook.
Okay.
But I always say, you can't conquer what you're unwilling to confront.
Mhm.
You must confront the trauma. You must confront where you are and the things that challenge you, and be open and honest about it in order to heal from it. He said Android.
Mhm.
Oh man, it didn't give you that link, but I'm surprised. Hold on. Suka, shoot me your email address. Put your email address in the chat, and I'll send you a link because I would love to have that.
Hey,
Okay,
wait a
there you
minute.
go.
Here it is.
Bring him on camera.
Send. I think you gotta give him a second. Did it show up?
I just accepted. I just accepted it, Suka. Hmm.
It's not happening. What does it look like when it?
Typically, like when I've done it with you,
Mhm.
you just come up in the drop down right here where I have the
Oh
live
yeah, yeah. It'll
chat.
say bring them on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's unfortunate. The brother always has
Just maybe a little delay. Just wait a sec, because that took a minute for us so you can see his link. So
All right, that's a good question. What type of advice can you give a woman to remain chaste? Keep the commandments. um,
ain't nothing open after 10
first,
o'clock at night except emergency rooms and legs. I'm just
right.
some grandma. um,
Um,
Hebrew.
Go ahead, answer that question about a young woman.
So what was again? What advice can you give for her to remain?
Chase
Um,
TV.
just say no.
Come on, Nancy Reagan, don't do that.
Well, just focus on beyond that feeling and emotional.
Suka, I just sent the invite.
emotional flood that, would kind of overwhelm you and cause you to not be able to think clearly. Um, and how you do that, I guess that's the bigger question.
I would, if I could jump in,
Yes,
I would say that a young woman has to, first of all, see the value in herself.
exactly.
When you know that you are valuable, that you are a treasure, you will not give yourself out so easily and so freely.
Exactly.
You have to change your relationship with sex. Sex is
You
not a
just
small
shouldn't
thing,
have a relationship with it.
but psychologically, we've been told that it's just something is like for men, it's like playing basketball.
Mhm.
It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
And for women, they began to subscribe to that mindset to our chagrin.
Mhm.
So we have to reassociate ourselves, our mind, our
Mhm.
psychology, our sociology with it, where you're unwilling to just give your body away
Mhm.
so easily. I had a conversation with a young woman. I'll say this, and hopefully, we can get.
Hold on.
Uh,
I just
you
wanted to
got
write
a
this
you got a
down.
point,
Well, no, I just wanted to write it down so I wouldn't lose it. But I remember being told by my mother and the women in my life that you didn't want to be common.
hmm
Um, so to me, that meant everyone else around you was doing these things. So you want to be that rare gem, the one that was, holding on to these, old values or old fashioned ways or whatever.
Shout out for not being common. Oh, shout out to Ben Suka. We got
So,
Suka on.
well, just wait.
Shalom, shalom.
Just
Hold on, let me let her
let
finish
me
her point.
finish. Just want to be, wanting to be rare and not common, and just, as you stated, you want to see your value, and that's the messaging that has to come from the people that you value in your life,
Okay,
that you are valuable, and that, you know think positively about yourself and not think that that's the only way to get someone to, be interested in you.
okay. Great point. Great point. All right, shalom, shalom, Elder Suka. What's happening? How you feeling? Man, I'm in a good place. So you've been on here listening. Come on, what you have to share? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm, mm, mm-hmm. Indeed. mm. That now that's a weighty one, which goes right back into what we were talking about. The difference between dating and courtship. Like our women have to have some type of covering that can vet these men,
Mhm.
that can help to sift, because the enemy wants to sift us like wheat. But can you put a mechanism in place that'll help sift through the trash, sift through the detritus, sift through those that aren't even compatible or even worthy of having a conversation with you? You understand?
Mhm.
That's where we have to go with it. Uh-oh. Mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Holes in here, right? Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. At all.
Right.
Mhm. Right.
Mhm.
And a lot of that comes from the brokenness within the culture, Suka, where they haven't had it modeled for them.
Mhm.
Like when we begin, that's why like I try to focus in on family structure because we got to get back to the way that it used to be. Now, maybe someone did not experience it firsthand, but they have to maybe seek out someone that can model those the scriptures where we can quote the First Peter, we can quote Ephesians, and all those things. But do they see it being lived? Do those scriptures have legs? Do they
Mhm.
have a heartbeat? If it ain't got that, then it's not real. And that's the problem. People don't want to get real in the walk. They want to hide behind the veneer of scripture. Well, man, she my property. I can do what I want to do. No, you can't. Mm, be handed. Right. He's not. He's not. Mm, mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's a weighty thing. Mm. The head is sick
Mhm.
and full of trauma.
Mhm.
The Most High said that, part of those Deuteronomy 28 curses, he said, I will smite this people with madness. And we can see that when it comes to relationships, people are mad.
Mhm.
So, what would you say would be a beautiful solution that is practical that you've been using? Because I see that you done posted on Facebook. You done went public with your love with with the sister that you got, man. What would you say has helped you in this area, Aki? Shout out to your Hukanon and Lawrence. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, you. Hey, did you mute yourself, Suka? Say that last part again. You said dealing with lust.
You can move that.
No, it's not that bad. I can't hear you. Mm, my output is the same.
Uh-oh. Lost them all together.
Yeah, it went out. All right, family. We just lost Elder Suka. The brother was giving a great testimony and sharing how he's been given the opportunity to love again. That's a beautiful thing,
Mm-hmm.
as well as I don't want to say love again, but to have a relationship in
Mm-hmm.
marriage and then to progress toward that whole love thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a beautiful thing, as well as
Yes.
him willing to model. You had something that you wanted to share real quick.
No, I was just thinking about the point he mentioned about the pimps and fringes that these congregations are preying on these young women who probably are uncovered and they know that they want
Gullible.
right
They
they're
heart is right.
right they want to they know what they've been doing isn't working, so they're looking for another solution and wind up looking toward the wrong things and being kind of sucked in by people who are slick tongued.
Mm-hmm.
um and it sounds good, it sounds powerful and
Yeah.
strong when you're speaking on a topic that I don't know much about,
Mm-hmm.
and you speak so confidently. Imagina.
Especially if she's a sapiosexual,
What is that?
if she's attracted to intelligence,
Oh, is that what
finds
it
that,
is?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, some of it's not intelligent. It's just people exposing their colon.
Yeah.
But so
It's Dr. Howard put that on
oh,
the
sapiosexual.
yeah, on
It's
Facebook.
true though.
Shout out to
Someone
Dr.
there.
Howard. I
But
got love for her.
regarding the congregations, when a young woman is looking for a congregation, I guess to you know establish a relationship within or become a part of that social strata. I don't even know what you would call it, honestly. But um, Dr. Dr.
Imagina.
Ema Gina Murray. I always want to say Dr. Ema Gina. It's Dr. Gina Murray,
I read a book last night.
affectionately known as Ema Gina.
Mm-hmm.
Her book was right here.
Yep. I read an excerpt from the Them in Him
Oh, where's that
about
camera?
a message to the modern man. I
Very
posted that.
worn, very red, dog eared,
Yeah.
highlighted. But anyway, she penned this is book one of two.
Mm-hmm. Three's on the way.
The second one is The Way of the Kinsman
The Way of the
Redeemer.
Kinsman Redeemer. Yeah.
However, she made reference to some of those very same things that Elder Suka mentioned about the congregations. And her
Mm-hmm.
question to everyone is, where are the aged women in these congregations?
Mm-hmm.
Um, where are the aged women who can actually sit and say, they've been there, been a part of this structure for years, um,
And have fruit in that area.
and have fruit in that area? Where are they? When you don't have any of that, you should um, just question the integrity or the whole congregation
of,
itself.
of the ministry. And also, if
Mm-hmm.
you have all the aged women trying to be the young women, they're competing with the young women to
Mm-hmm.
have the little baby
And they're
hair
all
underneath
single.
the head wrap. And yeah. And who can wear the tightest cultural outfit? Stop
Hose
it.
and head wraps,
Hose and
excuse
head
me.
wraps. All right, go ahead, Suka. Glad to have you back, man. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
um, keep losing this audio.
Man, we keep losing your audio.
There you are. You're good.
It's good now.
Just wait. Just wait. Okay. Did we lose him again?
Yeah, we lost him again. What we'll do, we'll schedule a time where we can just where I can just interview Suka by himself and be in a better place. Because I
He has a
definitely
lot
want
of
to.
valuable knowledge to
Yeah, he
share.
does. He does.
Sorry
Absolutely.
about that, Elder. Thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap
Oh, and
this up.
congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations are definitely in order. Did we leave anything out, family? Any other questions before we jump off?
There was a
Shalom, shalom to
question.
everybody. Much love
Celibate.
and
So what
appreciation.
would you say to incentivize a young man to remain celibate and save his seed for marriage?
Um, all I can share with you is what I've done. Here's something that everybody doesn't can't really grasp, and but I'm going to say it anyway. I had to understand that I am Haji Go Lightly. I'm the son of William, who's the son of Daniel, who's the son of Freeman, who was the son of George. I came from these great men. My seed does not belong to me. My seed belongs to my father. My sons that have come from me, their seed does not belong to them. It belongs to their fathers, which belongs to his father. So when you connect yourself in a lineage of great men, you won't be so quick to want to give your seed to someone who doesn't deserve it.
Mm-mm.
You won't want to just
Spill
be
it on the
like
ground.
Judah's son
Mm-hmm.
and just spill it on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be so quick to want to just go flush it down the toilet when you know that that is liquid gold, that that is the most sophisticated algorithm computer code that ever was or ever will be, and you just treat it like it's nothing.
So what do you say to those young men who don't know that lineage as deep as that, though? Because that often is the issue within
Came.
our culture. They,
That was. It's going back. Have you ever had somebody that tried to holler at you and they knew that they may not have been
on your level.
on your level? And this isn't about classism, racism, or any of those other isms. Sometimes there's just strata
This is
where
generational.
he knew that he should not be trying to holler at you because he just don't have his things stuff together. When that happens, sometimes like you might get mildly insulted. I've had people try to holler at me and I'm like, I'm lightweight offended.
I'm like, right, I must be off my game
I'm
today.
what
Something,
energy was I giving off?
right? Like, let me just time to go home.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
time to go
So
home.
as a young man, when you know that you're valuable, you should understand that your seed is valuable
Mm-hmm.
and that you're preserving it for the right time to insert it into the right womb, into very fertile soil that can help produce you. The intention is to get you out of the deal so that you have an heir. And if that woman is not that, then you need to reconsider where you are planting your seed. You could have a great seed. The seed could be supreme heirloom seeds, right? But if you just spilling it on the concrete or on some dense, tightly compact Georgia clay,
You remember that song that
it's not going to produce.
Sky liked?
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, by the weekend. So
mm-hmm.
like what my wife is referencing,
I couldn't think
sometimes
of the
I
lyrics.
would let my children, I'd be like, yo, play me a song because I want to know what they listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things authorized, certain things are not authorized, and we'll listen to it and I tell them why.
Mm-hmm.
So she put this song on by the weekend, and I just gushed and smiled when she did that. You want to read the lyrics? Go ahead.
Um, which part? All of it
Oh, the song was just saying I'm a
is
virgin.
"I'm a virgin, pure as a dove, waiting for the right person, never been touched." basically, never got close enough, cell phone blowing up, but I'm waiting for the right person. If you want to just hold hands, sign me up, but just know you're not gonna score.
Yeah, just know you're not gonna score.
But
And,
the last part of it, the outro, is the part you remember. You just said that about the lineage, and he says, "Pure as a dove, and I'm waiting for the right person. Never once been touched. The power of God in my loins."
right. He said, and then he went on in the little outro. He said, "My nutsack is a time machine."
Right.
Like, when you understand, like, wait a minute, we still talking about we are the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're still invoking these great men that are still with us today, in us today. Man, I don't know what else to say. You can't get back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob if you cut the line with your father. And that's why we advocate for family structure so heavy. So,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think that's it. We've been on here longer than we've ever been on. I pray that you guys got something from this. We will be streaming more often, trying to do it at least 3 times a week, family, because I got a burden. I got a burden I want to share. I want to see my people in a better state. I promise I don't want nothing from you. I'm just hoping that you can gain from the perspectives that we share, because clearly it's different. And we have to challenge our people to change and just to consider it. We're trying to evoke thought. We will be, I'll be uploading this to YouTube, family. Please. Actually, I'm going to change the YouTube name from, hold on. I'm going to change the name on YouTube from Revolutionary Patriarchy
Two.
to,
That was a drum roll supposed to go right
so
there.
you say
It's
my
okay.
timing is up, to the Go Lightly perspective. We're going to swap it out. We're going to change it to the Go Lightly perspective. So, and maybe we'll have a video on that just to share why we're doing that, because we just want to share our perspective, family. That does include patriarchy, and it does include the fact that I'm a revolutionary. When I leave, you remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary. And you're gonna have to keep on saying that. You're gonna have to keep saying it. We definitely down with that, because aligning your family in patriarchal structure is the most revolutionary thing that you can do in today's society, because it goes against the grain, and it captures the power and the essence that the Most High wanted our people to move and operate in. So that's part of the Go Lightly perspective. So I'm hoping that you guys will like, share the video, so that we can also begin to stream on YouTube. But we got to have 1,000 subscribers, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But if that is all, I pray that the Most High continue to bless you and strengthen you, and we're gonna sign off from here.
Oh, so guys, one question though.
Sure, go ahead.
Are you done? Did you go off?
No, I didn't.
Um, Send us some even after this live ends, if you could, send us some questions, some topics, or some things that you may be interested in hearing the Go Lightly's perspective on, that may, be a little engaging for you, and some things that you may find interesting. So thank you so much for your time tonight, and we look forward to speaking with you all really soon.
All right, family. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Blessings to your house. Shabbat shalom. Ta-da. Appreciate you, Cassie. Shayla, Tiana, Elia,
Eliyahu up
Suka,
there.
thank you for joining us, Aki.
Yakel.
Yakeskiel. I can't scroll back up any
I
higher.
know, it stops you, right?
It does. It does. All right, family. We out. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Boom, boom, boom.
We need outro music.
Yeah. Well, it'll flag if I don't have rights to it. We working on it. It's coming.
Okay.